A Jumper for Christmas. This book is dedicated to all those who have given an animal a second chance at life. Are you ready? Let's begin. Granny McColl was warm like a jumper, fierce like a tiger, very good with animals and very bad at knitting. Tom loved Granny and her house with all its pets, but he did not love Granny's knitting. It had been funny when he was little, but he was not little any more. December was nearly here, and Tom was dreading another Christmas jumper knitted by Granny. All Tom wanted for Christmas was a pet of his very own. Oh, how he hoped and hoped for a pet. Mum had said he had done a really good job of looking after the school hamster all summer, and Granny McColl was always praising him for how kind and careful he was with her dog Fergus. 2 weeks before Christmas, Granny McColl began knitting furiously with brightly coloured wool, and muttering under her breath about wool going to waste these days, and the tricky wee patterns. Tom felt really miserable, but his mum and dad did not seem to notice. They were too busy rushing to and from the DIY store for urgent gardening projects. On Christmas Eve, Tom watched the snow falling as soft as feathers, and the frost sparkling on the cold, hard ground. From the garden came the sound of bashing, hammering and muffled yelling. The back door opened, and in came Dad with rosy cheeks, brushing the sawdust off his jacket with his hands and giving Tom a cheery smile. Mum followed him, bringing the milk and cookies for Father Christmas. Just then there was a sharp knock on the door, and there stood Granny McColl with a twinkle in her eye and bunch of carrots in her hand. "You'll be needing these for the reindeer, and Father Christmas will be needing more than a milky drink to keep him going on a cold night like this," said Granny, giving Tom's dad a huge wink. In the morning, Tom was woken up by the sound of jingling bells, and raced downstairs to find Mum, Dad and Granny already up. They all seemed excited, as if they were bursting with a secret they couldn't wait to share. Tom saw the bulging stockings, and under the tree a squashy-looking parcel with his name on it. Tom's heart sank as Mum said, "You might want to open your present from Granny first." Tom ripped open the paper to find 3 small, bright, oddly shaped jumpers. Even by Granny's standards, something had gone badly wrong. Puzzled, he looked up to see his mum and dad with big beaming smiles. "Tom, go and look out the back window," Dad said, trying not to laugh. Tom rushed to the back of the house, and looking out the window into the garden, he saw 3 very colourful, scratching, pecking chickens, yelled Tom, pulling on his wellies and flinging the back door wide open. "Aye," said Granny as she joined him in the garden, "and not just any chickens. These poor wee chooks have spent their whole lives in a cage. They're a bit henpecked and in need of a great deal of love, care and, of course, woolly jumpers." "Why don't the chickens have many feathers?" Tom asked, concerned about his new friends. "It's to do with how they were looked after before we rehomed them, Tom," explained Dad. "These hens came from a farm which kept them in small indoor cages instead of letting them roam free outside. They get bored and frustrated, and because they are so close together, they peck at each other's feathers." "Yes," added Mum, "and that's why we always buy free-range eggs, so we know the hens have a happy life, where they are able to explore outside, just as nature intended." "Didn't the farmer need them any more then?" asked Tom. "Well, dearie, once these chickens reach a certain age, they don't lay as many eggs. The shops want lots of eggs, and the farmer doesn't want hens which can't keep up," said Granny grimly. "I don't like the sound of those farms," said Tom sadly. "Don't worry, Tom," Dad chimed in cheerfully. "With the proper care and attention, they will soon grow their feathers back, and we will have our very own free-range eggs. In the meantime, they have Granny's jumpers to keep them cosy, and the coop we made," he added with a hint of pride in his voice. "It's the first time they have seen snow," said Mum softly, as they watched the chickens exploring their new home. "We thought you were definitely the right person for the job of making these 3 hens very happy," said Granny. Despite the cold, Tom felt warm all over. He smiled so wide his cheeks hurt, and flinging his arms around Granny McColl, he proudly announced, "Granny, they are the best knitted jumpers in the whole wide world." "You're not the only one to think so, Tom," Mum laughed. "The Animal Rescue Centre thought they were such a good idea that they have asked Granny to knit another 50 jumpers to keep the other chickens being rehomed warm over the winter." The end. A Jumper for Christmas was written by Eleanor Newson, illustrated by Sarah Waterfield, and published by Generation 2050. This story is available for purchase in both ebook and print formats from Amazon and other online book retailers. Generation 2050 is a non-profit children's book publisher. At Generation 2050, we believe in the power of storytelling to change the world for the better. We publish books which inspire and empower children to become responsible world citizens who act with compassion towards other people, animals and the planet. For more information on Generation 2050 and for other titles in the series, please visit www.generation2050project.org.